Hello and welcome to Back to School Night. I am Miss Rane and I teach your children courses 1 and courses 3. A little bit about me, I'm very passionate about mathematics and art, and I'm even more passionate about making sure everyone can access mathematics without it being an obstacle to them. So I wanted to give a bit of an overview of the course in this video. First things first, the things that your students should have at the beginning of each class is definitely their textbooks. And right now I want you to pause this video and please go check that your kids have the right textbook. If they're in course 3, they should have the course 3 textbook and make sure it says volume 1 on it. There's 2 textbooks and we're on volume 1 right now. Your children should have also received a whiteboard set from the school supplies pickup event. So they should have that with them. Your students should also have a pencil with them at all times, as well as graph paper. Also useful are colors. I tend to use a lot of colors in my notes. I like to highlight things, circle things, use color to highlight different patterns. So your students may like to have that as well. I know last year a lot of the 8th graders are super into that. So I use highlighters and colored pens, but colored pencils or just even, a red pen would do the trick. And anything else they might need, sharpeners, erasers, if they prefer pen and whiteout, then that works as well. But they should have this at the beginning of each class. Here are some of our class expectations. So I call them Zoom expectations. Let's take a look at these. So here are some of the things I expect out of your students. I really do expect them to be on time to class. We get started right away with our warm-ups. So if they need to log on a few more minutes before class, I would definitely suggest that. That's why they have a full 10 minutes in between classes and lunch as well. Try to have a quiet place for your students to work, if at all possible. And really make sure that they are charging their computers before, logging on to class, or, make sure that the charger is handy. Using headphones is definitely going to be very important. Um, just because we can get a lot of feedback sometimes, as in we can get echoes and stuff, and that can be very distracting for me and other students. So use headphones if you have them. And students should make sure that they keep themselves muted while they are not on a call. That's just because students should also keep themselves muted while I am talking or if another student is talking. Interruptions are even more distracting while we are learning online because it's already hard enough to, speak online to a whole bunch of people. And when there's interruptions, I think it really makes people lose their train of thought. So just, make sure that your students are being considerate about that. And we want them to chat responsibly. So just along the lines of being muted while someone else is talking. I instruct children to use the raise hand button in Zoom, so I can see that they're waiting to speak. And they can also always type their questions in the chat box. As far as presentation goes, I want the kids to wear appropriate clothing, but as long as it's appropriate for school, that's fine. As you can see, I'm casually dressed myself, so I can be comfortable and not distracted while I work. And I also really want the kids to be in camera view. I'm really not seeing a lot of their lovely faces, which is making me sad. So I would really like to see their faces. It helps me to know that they're there and participating, and it makes us all feel a little bit more like we are in a class together. And try to make sure your kids are not doing class in bed. I think that would be really unhealthy for them. Doing work in bed means that you're going to end up being tired while you're working and that you're going to have a hard time going to sleep when you want to. So please make sure they're not doing class in bed. As far as, respect goes, You kids have been being great. I think everyone understands that it is a hard time to conduct school. So, yeah, these are just some of our expectations. So, for course 3, I just wanted to go over some of the topics that students will be learning. First off, being successful in course 3 is going to be really important so your students are prepared for next year, the first year of high school for many of your children who are in 8th grade right now. Um, that first year of high school, that first course, integrated one, it really projects your students' success for the rest of high school. There's often a really bad domino effect when students are not prepared enough for ninth grade math. So these are just some of the topics. These are the main topics students should have a grasp on by the end of the year. So measurement and data, that's going to be the domain of math that we'll be focusing the least on, but we will be going over scatter plots and correlation and line of best fit. Um, and that takes me to linear functions under algebra for the year. Your students are going to learn what functions are. They are going to learn about inputs and outputs, and we're gonna take a long time to really hammer in concepts of linear functions. So you may remember y equals mx plus b from when you were learning it, as well as order of operations. That is, PEMDAS, GEMDAS, whatever you want to call it. Mr. Sapp and I like to say BEDMAS. Um, but even though students have probably learned this in 6th and 7th grade, we find it's often a good time to really keep practicing that because they're going to need it all of high school as well. Numbers and operations is a big year because we're going to be going over exponent properties and exponent rules, as well as powers of 10 and what that means and scientific notation and stuff like that. And finally, this is some of the stuff we're doing right now, actually. We are starting out the year with some geometry. We are doing transformations in the coordinate plane, which will really help your students be more successful later when we're working with graphing functions and stuff, because doing these transformations in the coordinate plane is helping us to get better at navigating around the coordinate plane. And we'll also be doing the Pythagorean theorem this year. And last but not least, I just thought I would say the best way to contact me is to text me at this number right here. That is just the best way to contact me. I am a millennial. I'm looking at my phone. So you can text me anytime, and I'll respond as soon as I can. And we can either, chat or resolve any issues over text, or we can text to set up a phone or Zoom appointment. You can also always send me an email at my SCCS email. I look forward to hearing from you, and I love having your kids in class. I'm so happy that we have the opportunity to still do math together this year, and that I still have the opportunity to get to know your wonderful, wonderful kids.